ISR assets have imaged a pair of Strela missile launchers at Aleppo Airport, which have been hindering close air support efforts by Syrian helicopters. Command designates these as priority targets for destruction. Welcome to Khmeimim Air Base in Syria, and welcome aboard my Su-25. The mission for today, as mentioned in the briefing, is to destroy a pair of Strela mobile SAM launchers at Aleppo Airport. So let's get to taxiing. We'll be very proper about it and actually ask for taxi clearance. See if they give it to us. The ATC is a little borked at Khmeimim, so we may have issues with takeoff clearance. We'll see. Anyone who's seen my previous videos where we've flown out of here will know all about that, but oh well. Cleared to taxi to runway 17, which is to be read as 17 left, because the runways here at Khmeimim, it appears that only one of the two is actually used actively, and then 17 right, 35 left is effectively used as a taxiway. A bit like London Gatwick, as I understand it, of all places. But anyway, the route for this mission will be that we will follow the usual IRL departure procedure from Khmeimim, where after takeoff we immediately fly out over the Mediterranean to climb to altitude and then push inland. If you look out on the wings, you will see that we have a pair of rocket pods, which are S8 KOM heat and fragmentation rockets, or NAR S8, which are effective against up to lightly armored targets, which is what we're after today. So they should be adequate. We'll cross runway 17 right. The ATC system in DCS still doesn't really go into much detail on permissions for that sort of thing. It also won't give us takeoff clearance until we're lined up, so I'm not going to bother holding short, even though that's what one ought to do IRL. Well, I'll ask just in case they fixed it, but I don't think so. Yeah, nothing. Okay. Well, I'll line up, let my wingman line up behind me, and we'll just roll. If we get clearance, that's great. If not, whatever. So I'll line up and roll ahead a bit, then stop, let my wingman get in position so that he rolls right behind me. Waypoint 1 is punched up, which is our climb point over the sea. And I don't see my wingman. He must have disappeared behind me and lined up. Okay, well, we're good to go then. Punch it. Off we go. The Su-25, with this kind of load, doesn't need vast amounts of runway. Yeah. This whole song and dance again. There she goes. Okay, about 260. We'll rotate. 10 degrees. Gear up, flaps to half. Wingman's rolling, so he should be up just after us. Formation takeoffs. I think there's a way you can set them up, but I don't really know how. I did make this mission, so it's an aspect of the mission editor that I'm not quite familiar with. Alright, gear and flaps are up. We've picked up a decent amount of speed. We'll make that right turn out over the Med. Climb out at about 500 kilometers an hour. 450 to 500 seems to be the best rate of climb speed, I think. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about that. Unfortunately, the Flaming Cliffs manual is a little bit short on information about that, as I've complained about before, and will continue to do so until I'm blue in the face. Performance charts would be really nice to have. But anyway, up through 1,000 meters. Once we hit 3,500, I'll turn us inland, and we'll cruise to the target at 6,000 meters. With the handheld and mobile SAM threat, we have a nominal cruise hard deck for this mission of about 3,900 meters, which will keep us to 3,500 AGL over the target. We will have to briefly fly into the air defense envelope of the target when we're there, just to get within the effective range of the rockets. and I will be pumping flares overboard like crazy. I brought a full load of flares with no chaff this time in order to serve that purpose, so we should be okay. It is a relatively high threat target that we have to get kind of close to in order to employ our weapons effectively, so hopefully that will be remotely interesting. Anyway, passing 3,500 meters, I'll punch up waypoint 2, and we'll turn inland and head for the target. Welcome back. Oh, it just ticked over there. We just passed over a waypoint, which is, as you can see, 23 clicks short of the target. The city of Aleppo is plainly visible over there. And there's the airport where our targets are. So let's turn north towards there. Now, according to my target imagery, our Strela launchers in question are on the northwest and southeast corners of the field. I should be able to acquire them visually and then just roll in. As for the attack profile, I find that delivery of rockets from the Su-25 is best done from, well, when it's being done from a high altitude, is best done in about a 40-degree dive. That seems to yield decent accuracy, and also means that you're only briefly flying into the air defense envelope of the enemy, as we're going to have to do here. And I find that to achieve that dive angle, it's good to position the target pretty much in the corner of the windshield here. That gives you between 35 and 45 degrees, depending on your sort of head position. So we'll aim for that. And let's have a look at that northwest corner of the field. Yeah, I see 2 specks south of the road and west of the T intersection. Okay. In that case, I will have my wingman Sтой здесь, hold position, effectively holding high cover where he can call out any SAM launches and I can deal with them. So rockets are ready. And we are just about in position, I think. So roll in, speed brakes out. As soon as we get slightly lower, I'll be starting to pump out flares at a rate of knots. Given the high-risk nature of this attack. So, lasers on, nice and trimmed on target. Start putting out flares. We're shaking a bit, which probably means the dive is a little steeper than I'd intended. Wingman's calling out a SAM launch, in-range fire. Pump out lots of flares, pull up. And we seem to have decoyed that one. Flares still coming out. I like to pitch up to about 40 degrees until we hit about 550 kilometers an hour, then effectively unload for speed. That seems to be a good profile to gain lots of altitude quickly. And then effectively adjust to maintain about 500, 450 to 500, which should be our best rate of climb. And 3,800 meters, we should be out of the air defense envelope. I didn't have a chance to look back at that target, so let's see. One vehicle smoking, but nothing conclusively burning yet, so I'll make a second run on that first target. I'll come back around and continue to climb back up to 6,000 meters, and we'll roll in on it. And still maintaining 500, 45 degrees of bank, and we still have a decent rate of climb. The Su-25 definitely, despite being a slow-ish aircraft, has a decent reserve of performance, especially with a light load like we've got here, so that's not bad at all. Targets are still visible. The missile launcher should be the sort of smaller one, the one that isn't smoking, the one that was the westernmost one before. So rolling in, laser on, speed brakes out, all that good stuff. Get trimmed. On target. Just waiting for that range cue to unwind. There it is. Fire. Pull up. Loads of flares. And pull away from the opposite end of the field where we know the other SAM launcher is. Level to maximize climb rate. I don't see any launches from the opposite end of the field yet, so that's promising. Ooh. Unload, start leveling off. And we should be out of the air defense envelope. Okie dokie, resume normal climb. And let's look back and see what we hit. Let's be around the bend here. Ooh, losing a little bit of speed there, level off and shallow out the bank a little. Can't quite see it yet. Hopefully we got it. Then I should have enough fireworks to still hit the other target without having to send in my wingman. Step on that right rudder a little bit to coordinate the turn. And there's our speed back. Alright, target is burning. We'd like to see it. Okay, so our other target is in the southeast corner of the field, in a bit of a sort of inverted U shape in the road. I think I see them there. And the SAM launcher should be the southeastern target, and the other one was a little jeep, according to my target imagery. So I'll come back around, keep climbing, and we'll make ready to roll in on that one. Because I suspect we don't have too many rockets left, I may press home my attack to slightly closer range than I otherwise would, just to guarantee destruction of the target. Still climbing. I think I'll try and swoop in under this cloud, actually, so we'll roll in now. Okie dokie. Speed brakes out, laser on, align with the target, get trimmed. Flares are coming out. Aligned nicely. Unwinding, well within range. Fire! Pull up. And just dump all our remaining flares, probably. Flares going out like crazy. Target is burning. Jolly good. Now let's just get out of danger here. Alright, we wound back to about 500, so we'll resume a max rate climb. I think that's the last of my flares that went just then, and we're just pushing out of the air defense envelope. Well, I guess I brought the right number then. Normally you can be very generous with them in the Su-25, especially if you bring only flares like I did. Didn't bring any chaff. And flight. Rejoin formation. I'll get formed up with him and we will head home back to Khmeimim. Climb to 6,000 meters as our return cruise altitude. Almost home. We are inbound to Khmeimim. The base is just over there. Just on our way in to effectively intercept the localizer now. Oh, and there's our cue to make another step in the descent. I may cut the corner very slightly, just to shorten the approach a little bit. I I'm not entirely sure actually what procedure is used for landing at Khmeimim, whether they do instrument or visual approaches. I mean, they'll do instrument approaches in bad weather, obviously, but whether they just do them anyway. And I'll just go straight to landing mode on the navigation system there. And we'll line up. We'll be landing on 17 left, just like we took off from. And I'll actually level off now per the cue on the attitude indicator there. Speed's down below 500. I will get flat to half, and I'll get the gear out once we slow down maybe just a little bit more. Because the Su-25 can be surprisingly slick on final. It's sometimes not actually super easy to get rid of speed, especially if you're high. So, can be nice to get configured before the top of the glide slope. And that's 400. I'll get the gear out, and I'll set flaps to full once we're rolled out on the final. And we should probably turn in towards that just about now. Can let the speed come back a little bit, actually. We want to aim to probably cross over the fence around 280 to 300, touchdown around 250, 260 at our current weight. We still have quite a lot of fuel, because for the trip that we actually made out to Aleppo, we probably didn't actually strictly need the external tanks, but they always seem to carry them IRL because of the Su-25's limited range without them, and it can be nice to have a little bit of headroom in terms of fuel as well. So now that I'm established on the approach, I'll tell my wingman to return to base and effectively make his own approach, because again, I don't quite know how to set up a formation landing. Anyway, off he goes, and I think I've gotten rid of enough speed to bring the speed brakes in. I'll get the landing lights out, actually, just to be proper about it, and put the nav lights on. And I'll trim to maintain about 280 on the approach. We're slightly low, but that's okay. I don't mind touching down a little bit early if it means we can vacate early, since we need to back taxi. And speed's a little bit low. I'll just give it one little more oomph of power to get us over the fence, and then I'll start easing the throttle back as we come into the flare. And that looked reasonably smooth. Lower the nose wheel gently. Speed brakes out. Parachute out. And usually that, once we put the umbrella out the back, it really decelerates pretty quickly. Which is good because the brakes are a little bit anemic in the Su-25. Alright, that's us decelerated. I'll drop the parachute, bring the speed brakes and flaps in, set the lights to the taxi setting, for what it matters in the daytime. And we'll taxi back in, shut down, and that'll be about it. Where's our next turnoff? Probably right at the end. I think we missed it. Missed the ones that take us straight back over to the ramp we departed from, so I'll push the throttle up a little bit and perhaps taxi slightly irresponsibly quickly. Oh no. And we will use runway 17 right, stroke 35 left, as a taxiway, as they appear to do in real life. Plus, it's really the only way to get back, is to backtrack on one of these runways, so that's fine. Turn off on taxiway Golf. Which, probably technically we're not supposed to cut these corners like this, but I don't really care. We're more than capable of it. This Khmeimim Air Base, formerly Bashar al-Assad International Airport, was a, well, obviously a passenger airport before the Syrian Civil War. So the taxiways and runways are designed to accommodate large aircraft, so a small one like this can kind of zip around on them and cut corners without great difficulty. So I won't worry too much about that. And is my wingman making his approach yet? Probably not. The AI seems to like to, whenever you give them some kind of order, be it landing or attack or whatever, they kind of mill about for a while getting into position. And in general, when it comes to attacking targets in high threat environments like we did this time, I don't like to trust the DCS AI any more than I have to, which is why I just had my wingman hold back and fly high cover while I go into attack. Because the AI are a little bit stupid sometimes. There is actually an option I've discovered in the mission editor to set a minimum altitude for AI aircraft to attack from, but they don't always seem to obey it, especially if they're employing things like iron bombs and rockets, where they kind of may have to get closer to employ them accurately. So I'll have to experiment with that a little bit and see if I can make it work, and I might be able to have AI wingmen play a slightly larger role in future missions. We'll see. Anyway, we'll turn off here. And I'll shut the nav lights off. Leave the taxi lights on, because why not? And we'll make a right back towards the revetment from which we came over there. And that'll be it. So just to verify, I brought the gear up. Yeah, taxi light's still out. All that good stuff, just rechecking everything, not to goon up anything simple on the ground. And we'll just make a little S-turn into this little complex here, where all our lovely rooks are parked in various camouflage schemes, since there does seem to be a mix of gray and camouflage Su-25s, seemingly in no particular order in the deployments to Syria. I mean, my wingman for this trip is in one of the camouflaged ones. And first empty revetment will be for my wingman, second one would be mine. I'll try and line up vaguely in front of it so that the ground crew just have to kind of give us a little shove backwards. And stop. Shut the lights off. There they go. And engines off, electrics off, canopy open, feel the cool breeze. Actually, probably not so cool here. Feel the blistering heat come wafting in. And I think that's going to be about it. I hope the mission was at least vaguely interesting to watch. And as always, I'm very open to feedback for future content. So if you have any ideas, do feel free to sound off in the comments. But that's going to be about it for this one. Toodles.